Okay, and so we're going live. Good afternoon and welcome to the Friday session of our Jobs and Skills in Sandwell event. So as promised, today is our spotlight on construction. So we'll be speaking to a couple of management trainees from Wilmott Dixon, who are actually one of the contractors who are building some of the new schools in Sandwell at the moment. And then so we're meeting Natalie and Francesca or Cheska, and they're going to be talking about their pathways into construction, you know, why they chose it as an industry, and they'll tell you a little bit about what they do on a day-to-day basis, because it's quite varied roles. There's more to construction than obviously like boots on the ground and trade. So they're just going to give you an idea about the huge variety of careers that are available in the industry. And then after that, we'll be speaking to Michael Ragg from the Think Sandwell team. He's an employment advisor and he specialises in helping people get into construction and particularly apprenticeships in construction. So if we go, first of all, we're going to go to Natalie. So hi, Natalie.
Hi, okay.
Yes, thank you. So do you want to tell us, I feel a bit like Cilla Black, you know, who you are and what your role is at Wilmott Dixon?
Yeah, so hello, I'm Natalie. I've been a management trainee at Wilmott Dixon for 3 years now, and I'm just going into my final year. The end goal for me is to go into design management, but as you can see, I'm in my high vis at the moment, which means I'm currently on my production placement. So that's where I'm spending some time on site, learning how the site managers run the job, how they sort of deal with it day to day. So on the trainee scheme, you have to, although you have this main sort of goal of becoming a design manager, you also have to try out all the different placements as well. So you try out design, you try out production, you try out quantity surveying, just so you can get a feel. And if, say, you wanted to go into design, but you did your production placement, you found you really, really enjoyed it, you can always change into production. So it just allows you time to actually find the best role for you and what you'd fit into best. Okay. So I came into the construction industry when I was 18. So I came through, I came straight out of sixth form. I was going to sort of I applied to university, I had sort of my places and stuff, but I kind of, as I was coming to the end of sort of my sixth form career as such, I decided I didn't really want to do it anymore. I didn't want to sort of be in full-time education. So I decided to go into this kind of on like a bit of a whim, really. And it turned out to be really, really good. I've really enjoyed it. I've sort of gained so much experience, so much knowledge, but I also still get to go to university. So I go to university 1 day a week for 5 years. So I'm currently going into my 4th year now at Birmingham City University in Town Centre, doing a construction management course, which has been really good as well. And because sort of the university and also Wilmott Dixon are quite sort of closely linked, you can really sort of balance out the work and also the study at the same time. So I found that really worked for me, and I know a lot of other trainees have sort of found the same. And Wilmott Dixon, obviously, the benefit of doing an apprenticeship is you don't have any of the debt and any of the fees to pay. Yeah. So you almost pretty much get paid to do a 4-day week and pop to university on the other day. So it's really, really good in that way. But yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So for anyone that's wondering, so what exactly is design in construction? What sort of things would you be doing?
So it's not sort of straight up like architecture where you're physically designing the building. You are more sort of helping with the coordination of the design, making sure certain elements are there, making sure that there's no clashes between sort of trades and stuff. So say you have the architect's design and you have the structural engineer's design, they might not necessarily talk to each other. So it's you're sort of almost in a way placing the drawings on top and seeing which works, what doesn't, and figuring out how to sort of move that design along through the process onto site so it actually can physically be built, because sometimes the architects really draw up a really lovely, pretty building, but it can't necessarily be built. So that's where sort of we come in with the buildability expertise to help build the building in real life.
Okay, so it's a bit of a reality check then for just what's doable. So so what does a typical day look like for you then?
So currently a typical day for me, because like I said before, I am actually on my production placement. So it's very early start. So I get to site at about 7:25 in the morning. As soon as I come in, I make myself a cup of tea because I've not yet woken up. And then sort of I go out, I do lots of things. So I do like daily diaries, you do your weekly inspections, you go around sort of, you take out drawings, you often get given, especially on your production placement. It's usually a smaller trade because you're an apprentice, you obviously can't look after something massive like maybe steel work or groundwork, but I've been given the IPS systems, so that's when you go into like your toilets and stuff like that, all of the back panelling that hides all the plumbing, that's the package that I'm looking after on site at the moment.
The vital work.
Vital work. So you sort of go out with drawings, go check their work, the quality of the work, and make sure if they've got any issues. You help sort of help them along with that process really, and then sort of, like I said, I start at about 7:25, and then I finish at about 4 o'clock really, so yeah, or 3 o'clock on a Friday.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So what's sort of like the highlight been for you so far then?
Well, on the trainee scheme?
Yeah.
The thing I like most about the trainee scheme is because you start with sort of a load of other trainees really. When I started there were about 8 of us, and you're all sort of relatively similar in personalities really, but you're all a different age range, but you get to go around and you do all these like trainee away days. So every September you have a couple of days away doing various activities. So last year we went to the Peak District and we did loads of things like caving, rock climbing, like abseiling, all stuff like that. And the year before we were down in Oxford doing these street Olympics and stuff like that. And you also, in your first year as well, which I think is a personal highlight for me of my whole trainee scheme, is you get to go to Norfolk to a construction, sort of the CITB construction college out there, where you do trade awareness. So you get to learn and physically do the trades. So you do almost like a different trade each day. So you'll do like bricklaying one day, you'll do setting out another day, you'll be putting up plasterboard and doing plastering the next day after that. And I think that personally was really enjoyable for me because it was really sort of practical. You got to have a laugh with the other trainees there, and you actually, it made you have a real appreciation for the actual trades on site and how tough some of them can be. So although you might be good at sort of one trade when you did that, I found plastering, oh god, I was awful at it. It's probably the worst thing I've ever done. And it makes you realise when you're seeing them out on site and they're doing it really quickly and so skillfully, it's actually a really good skill to master, and it's a real talent, I think. And I think that's why I enjoyed trade awareness the most. And it was pretty much like a 2-week holiday. It was really sunny and hot, and we got to go to the beach in the evenings.
Excellent. That sounds really good. So obviously there's some benefits. There's some real benefits then to being on a scheme like that. That's brilliant. Thank you very much. So Cheska, if we're going to come to you now. So hello.
Hello.
So again, so if you tell us a little bit about yourself and what your job role is.
Yeah, so my name's Cheska and I'm also a management trainee with Natalie. I'm on a 2-year scheme, which I actually finished today. So it's my last day of my training. So, my discipline I chose to go into was environmental and sustainability, so management on that. And I actually went to uni before joining the scheme, so that's why my scheme is a 2-year scheme, because depending on which level of academics you got to is what level you go into the scheme. So I done my undergraduate up in Scotland in geography. I've got a master's in environmental management, and I actually started in construction as an intern. So I was a sustainability intern for our head office. So I was not out on site, I was sitting in an office. You wouldn't even have thought that I work in construction because I didn't go on a construction site for 9 months. So yeah, and then I got put onto the trainee scheme and moved to Birmingham and got put on that 2-year scheme. So my role as environmental and sustainability is really just overseeing the environmental and sustainability performance of our sites. We have targets that we have to hit, so it's my job to make sure our sites are hitting those targets putting strategies in place to allow the sites to hit the targets. And that can be anything around waste management, energy, recycling, pollution control and reduction. I do a lot on our buildings when we've actually handed them over. So I'll be there from when we're bidding for a project all the way through until 3 years after we've handed it over, doing energy modelling studies. So I'll go back into the buildings we've built and record all their energy usage, look at the data, analyse it and work out ways to reduce the in-use energy. So
brilliant.
My role really lets me be involved right from the start, right from when we're winning the work, all the way through building it and out the other side. So it's always really interesting.
real end-to-end stuff. So I think that's really important, because it's obviously you know, any construction project will have a massive impact on its local community, and being able to, I suppose, to minimise any kind of negative effects in terms of like pollution and stuff must be quite it's obviously sort of quite important to do that. So I mean, so obviously you mentioned you're from Scotland and living in Birmingham now, but you've got you'll be working on some of the Sandwell sites.
Yes, so I'll be covering all 3 of the schools. So again, I worked with them during pre-construction, and I'll be with them all the way through. So just working out ways to reduce our impact in Sandwell and in our local community. So yeah,
brilliant. I mean, so what's so like, I feel, what's been kind of like the highlight then? What's like your favourite part about your job?
The favourite part about my job is that it's not something that's known in construction. So when I say I work in construction and people ask what my job role is and I say sustainability, like no one ever recognises that as a role in it. So everything that I get to do during my role is new and it's innovative and it's not just something that's been done before. So I get to challenge a lot of kind of preconceptions about what construction is and how it should be done, and the kind of old school way of doing things isn't how you do it anymore. So I'd say my favourite way is kind of breaking down those barriers and challenges and really getting people to change how they think about construction and kind of the cultural behavioural change of it. So I think that's my favourite part.
Okay. So when did you know that you wanted to get into construction? I mean, was that always your end goal, or how did you get into it?
I didn't actually know until, so after I finished my Masters, I went and worked for a community development trust. And during that, I was just meant to be working with the kind of local community to do, like, increase the biodiversity in the community. But while I was there, they put in planning for a sports centre that they wanted to build using money raised by the community. And it was when I went through that planning with them and got all the planning conditions that I realised that I really actually wanted to be involved in construction. And it's the impact that you can have from an environmental point of view. Like, construction is one of the most polluting industries, so I like to set myself a challenge. I don't want to plant trees and flowers. It's an easy thing to do in sustainability. I wanted to have a difficult role. So that's when I decided, after working with the Community Development Trust, that construction was for me. And I like breaking stereotypes as well. A woman in construction is not seen that often, so, and then particularly sustainability as well. So
yeah,
it's kind of tricky.
That's fantastic. So I think that's a really good example then of how you know, sometimes people's ideas change. You know, sort of like a lot of career paths aren't exactly a straight line. You know, sort of like there's one thing can lead to another, and then doors open. So I think that's a really good example of that. So thank you very much. I should have mentioned at the beginning, if anyone wants to ask any questions, there is a chat function. So if you sat there watching and you're thinking, oh, you know, I want to ask Natalie this, or I want to ask Cheska that, then just drop us a question. And there are a few that's come through, but we'll get to them. So if anyone's got any burning questions, drop us a line and we'll do our best to answer them. But yeah, thank you very much, Cheska and Natalie. So like I said, we're now going to go to my colleague, Michael Bragg. So here we go. All right, so hi, Mike.
Hello, can you see me all right? Yeah.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah. Hi, everybody.
So if you want to tell us kind of a bit about your role in Think Sandwell.
Okay, yeah, I've got quite a varied role. I've been working for the council for sort of 12, 13 years now. It's absolutely flown by, but In a nutshell, what I do is I try and sort of remove any barriers from anybody getting into work and support people in their own personal development. That can be in a number of different ways. We like, as a whole, as Think Sandwell, we like to try and get people in training or apprenticeships or jobs. So anything that people come to me with, we'll give advice and guidance on an individual basis and try and support them to where they need to get to.
Fantastic. And so the reason that you're here today is obviously because you're selling yourself short. So you tend to specialise in construction. Yeah,
construction's something I'm really interested in. It's a really good trade and industry to get into. Over the years, I've met a lot of really nice people, interesting people, and worked on lots of different projects as well. One part of my role is community benefits. So like with Wilmott Dixon, we're working on the schools. I can be working on any projects that are building new leisure centres, new houses, new hospitals, new leisure centres. Yeah. So it's, again, right from the start. So it might be a bit of land that we can't use that's getting fly tipped on and not used very well and is a bit of an eyesore. And then it gets sort of developed into something that's left there, like a leisure centre or some housing for people to get onto the housing market, and basically improves the local area. So it's really rewarding and varied role. And I suppose, like most of the Think Sandwell team, what I really enjoy doing is helping people. So to be able to sort of steer people in the right direction, you know, help them achieve things or qualifications, or build their confidence up a little bit, or, you know, just get them ready so that they can get out onto site. And then what I do, I'm like a big brother or a dad to them as well. When they're there, I sort of support and go out and see how they're doing, or speak to them on the phone, or check how they're getting on. If there's any problems, any situations at college or at work, we're there to sort of get them back on track or give them some good positive advice so that we can make sure they're making the most of their opportunities that they get.
Okay, fab. So I mean, part of your role as well is, so you look after the council's trade apprenticeships for Sandwell Council. That's
correct, yeah. Another part of my role is doing our recruitments for our repairs and maintenance on neighbourhood service. We recruit every year. In the last 2 years, we've taken on 13 apprentices this year. We took on 12 the year before that, and slightly less before that. So over the years, I've been slightly building up each year. And the amount of different roles vary now as well. It started off as sort of bricklaying, carpentry, plastering. Now it can be anything from, we've developed it more into sort of, so you do bricklaying, plastering, painting, decorating, carpentry, we do plumbing, we do gas engineer. We've done a lot of quantity surveying over the last couple of years. We've got people going through that course at the moment. So it's developing. More and more parts of the service are utilising us to recruit apprentices, and they're seeing the real value from it. And although we can't promise jobs at the end of our apprenticeship, we are seeing a lot of apprentices are being sort of taken on to the next stage, which is a trainee role, which is giving them another 2 years to increase their skills. And then hopefully, if they reach the standards that we need, and there's the budget available, then a lot of those are being retained within the neighbourhood service. So it's quite a rewarding role to be able to give people that chance and sort of see them develop through their years as well.
Definitely. And of course, even if they don't manage to get a full-time role, a full-time job at the end of it, they've still got that qualification and a certain amount of years experience in the job as well. So just if anyone's interested in seeing sort of like a day in the life of one of our electrical apprentices, well, he's a trainee actually now, isn't he, Brian? Then you can go to our YouTube channel and look for Ryan's apprenticeship video, and he talks a little bit about his experience on there. I think it looks as though he's filmed it actually inside one of the properties, because he sort of filmed himself in his lunch break or something there. So it's a real you get a real taste for what life is like as an electrical apprentice.
That's just one example, we've had so many good successes of people who've come in, and to see them sort of grow in confidence and develop, and some of them are sort of buying houses now because they've sort of progressed and their careers progressed, and they sort of get there, or they get their first car while they're with us and they start driving, and it's lovely to see them sort of grow and develop.
Definitely. So, how? I mean, one of the questions that we always get asked is, you know, how do I get an apprenticeship with the council? I want to do a carpentry apprenticeship. I want to do a painting apprenticeship. How do I get onto the council? So, what's the process with that?
Yeah, it is very popular. We are very popular. A lot of people want to come and work for us, which is fantastic. Which gives us sort of a lot of people to choose from. The selection, the recruitments are quite arduous because there's a lot of people applying, but we simply advertise on the National Apprenticeship site, so on the .gov website, Find an Apprentice site. An advert goes on there. You obviously read the advert, see if you've got the right sort of maths and English to start with, and then basically try and tell us a bit about the experience that you've got.
Okay. So you mentioned maths and English. So what maths and English do people need to apply?
Well, it depends on what subject or what trade you're going forward for, but as a rule of thumb, it tends to be around sort of 3s or grade Ds for your bricklaying, carpentry, plastering and painting and decorating. And then it's sort of going on to sort of surveying or plumbing or gas or electrical. They tend to be Cs or grade 4s, or the equivalent functional skills we will accept as well.
Brilliant. Yes, I mean, so you can also, if you don't have those grades, don't panic, because we can help you to find a short course to improve those as well. So you should be able to, if I just quickly flick back onto my screen. So if you do want information on getting those courses, then, and I always forget which way to point, that way. If you get in touch with us on the inquiries recruitment email address at sandwell.gov.uk, then we can help you sort a course for that as well. So we're just going to have a look at some of the questions that have come through in the chat. And there's probably just one from Mike. So they've said, I've been accepted onto an apprenticeship, but I need to find an employer. How can I do that? So is that something that you'd be able to help somebody with?
Definitely, yeah. That's sort of our bread and butter, really. That's what we sort of do. Is that there are some techniques that we can teach you. It's not sort of rocket science. There are simple things to do, but what we tend to do to start off with, when I give my first advice and guidance, is get to know the person first, see where they're at, and then we advise from there. But generally speaking, one technique is obviously to go onto the .gov website, the Find Apprenticeship website, and create an account. Increase the radius of the search and search for the trade that you want and apply on there. However, there is a lot of competition on there, and you don't see a lot of construction apprenticeships come up all the time. So there are other ways of improving your chances and going out there and being a bit more proactive about it as well. And what we do for that is we get people through their CSCS. We can offer training, we can help you and support you with that and advise you how to do that. So your CSCS, if you didn't know what it was, it's basically your health and safety qualification to get onto a building site. You don't legally need it in private work or domestic work, but the employers that we work with like you to have it. So if you get that, it will improve your chances. And it allows us to maybe drop you out on work experience with a contractor who then may take you on or may give you some more skills so that somebody else might take you on. So we'd get you applying on the National Apprenticeship site. We'd have a look at helping you towards CSCS. We'd obviously have a look at your CV and get that up to date. We get a lot of CVs that come in who just tell us, I've done a 2-year plastering course, or I've done a 3-year electrical course, and it's not really doing justice to what they've actually learned through those 2 or 3 years. So we draw that information out of people and try and get that on their CV a bit better. The other thing is obviously contacting companies. It's something that I do quite a lot of myself. But I can only ring so many people in a day. So it's good. I do a lot of coaching and I help young people contact companies themselves. It comes across really well if you pick up the phone, and you don't, the great thing about construction is people are generally really nice and friendly, and you can just ring up really informally and say, hi, my name's Dave, I want to get into plastering, can I come and help you out a day or week? Or so we do a lot of sort of coaching to help people generate their own opportunities. There's some simple techniques which I can teach people to help with that. And also there's some government grants available at the moment as well. So obviously what I try to do is I try and help people get work experience with companies like Wilmott Dixon and some of the other contractors working in the area, So once they've got their CSCS, we'll get them out onto site. I've got a lad going out to do some bricklaying next week. He's got a 2-week placement on a care home that's being built. So he's working with the bricklayers. And if he does really well, then they may offer him a job at the end of it, or apprenticeship at the end of it.
Yeah.
So we've worked with him. We've worked on his maths and English, because that was the first barrier. Then we helped him get his CSCS. He did actually do a similar thing before lockdown, where he did a couple of weeks work experience and then was offered a labouring position. But unfortunately, due to COVID, that got stopped. But he's come back to me, and I've got him a placement starting next Tuesday. And and if he gets an apprenticeship out of it, brilliant. If he doesn't, it's another bit of experience for him, something that he can put on his CV. We tell them to try and get photos of you doing the work as well while you're out there, because that's good to send with your applications. But also, what I'll be doing is, if he gets off to a good, we like a tag team really. They'll go out, make sure they get onto site early, ready to work, helping out as much as they can. And then what I would be doing is speaking with a subcontractor and telling them about the grants that they are eligible for if they were to take them on as an apprentice. And it does work. It's a proven method that we've used time and time again. And so hopefully that can sort of answer that question, or give you an idea of the sort of things we would do to help you find something.
That's really helpful. I mean, so it really is a case sometimes of thinking outside the box and kind of like coming up with creative ways to get what you want if it isn't
exactly
automatically there in front of you. Okay, so I don't think there's any more questions come through. So just to kind of finish off, so Mike, are there any apprenticeships available at the moment?
Excellent question. Yeah, obviously things have slowed. Things have slowed down slightly, but what I would like to say is that things have started to pick up again now. It is slowly building up. So I was doing a lot more skilled recruitment and for people who already got qualifications, but now I've just recruited 2 paint and decorators and 2 carpenters for a local house builder, well, a national house builder, who are building a load of new properties in West Bromwich. So they've taken on 4 apprentices who are starting in September, in a couple of weeks' time. I've just in the middle of finishing off a recruitment for a painting company. We're taking on 4 paint and decorators who are going to be working on sites around Bilston, Wolverhampton, Sandwell and Dudley. So that's another real positive story, showing that people are looking to employ apprentices. And I've also literally yesterday just did an advert for a gas engineer for a subcontractor to the council. So we will be looking for a gas engineer, and that should be live either today or over the weekend for people to apply for as well. I've got a few other things in the mix. I'm contacting lots of people at the moment, and obviously telling them about the government grant and sort of how we work, and just reminding them that we're here and we're looking for opportunities for people out there. So I'm hoping that there'll be lots more opportunities coming up over the next few weeks, few months for people to apply for.
Brilliant. So that's a good positive note to end on. So yeah, that's great. So thank you very much, Mike, and thank you very much, Jessica and Natalie as well. So like I said, do get in touch with us on the inquiries _recruitment@sandwell.gov.uk email address, and you can watch this obviously recording back to make a note of that again. So thank you very much, and goodbye everybody. Bye. Bye.